近寄ってくる人はいました。でもこんなに青山さんみたいに温かくて私の気持ちを包んで分かってくれる人に会ったのは初めてです。
Takeshi Miike's 1999 movie Audition was received with instant classic status upon release and made many critics' top 100 lists for all-time best horror films. So what makes it so scary? Fear, contrary to the oft-repeated consensus, is not a reaction to things we don't know or don't understand. There are plenty of things we did not understand but that cause us no troubling concern. In fact, we often excitedly anticipate discovery of that which is unknown. What actually triggers fear is a sense that one has lost control. Human beings structure their lives around routines, rituals, habits, and plans in order to suggest a structure, a security, and a soundness that does not actually exist. The feeling of being in control is our consolation in the face of the fact that any one of us might perish at any moment. It's when that sense is taken from us, whether by a brush with danger or a blunt reminder of mortality, that fear comes to the fore. Fear tells us to take danger seriously, while every routine we adopt implicitly contributes to a barricade against acknowledging that very thing. You don't feel fear because you don't know what's at the bottom of a precipice. You feel it when you nearly fall in.
なんか最近さ、ちょっとしょぼくれてんじゃない？
Which brings us to Audition. It begins slowly, taking time to establish the premise, and doesn't seem like a horror film at all. In fact, it feels more like the setup for a rom-com. It concerns a widower who decides it's time to get remarried 7 years following the death of his beloved wife.
なあ親父、再婚でもしたら？
この年になって失敗するのはしんどい。だからできれば十分に観察する時間が欲しい。できるだけいろんな女に会って理想の女を選んでみたいんだ。なんだ。はあ、やっぱり無理かな。だよね。
But he goes about finding the right woman in an unusual way. He attends auditions his movie producer friend is holding for actresses. They believe they are trying out for a part, but in fact he is examining their biofiles and interviewing them in order to single someone out as a dating prospect. It begins slowly, taking time to establish the premise, and doesn't seem like a horror film at all, except in that there's a kind of dark edge to the basic story. The protagonist's casual disinterest in his obviously love-struck secretary and the unilateral nature of his love hunt seem off-kilter for a light comedy. There's clear criticism in the way he treats women as commodities, and the manner in which he misleads his prospective lovers, subjecting them to a process where they are scrutinized while he is not. Our hero, Shigeharu Aoyama, discovers his apparent ideal mate in Asami Yamazaki. They even have a sort of meet cute, in keeping with the one-sided nature of the relationship, as he spills coffee on her file and is taken with her picture. As he reads Asami's heartfelt plea for the acting assignment, and with the marked absence of his wife's sound judgment, Shigeharu is taken in.
Yamazaki Asami. なんか犯罪者になったような気分だ。ちょっと見ぞ。始めよう。
There's a strong satirical element to the audition process, drawing attention to the belligerence of the so-called male gaze and the attitude of these middle-aged businessmen towards women, complete with the expectation they will serve upon command.
はい。
どうぞ。
はーい。
好きな音楽は？尊敬する女優は？
はい、森光子さんが大好きです。
じゃあ次行こう。
でスポーツが好きだったので、高校では今度団体の
風俗で働こうと思ったことありますか？
お友達にはしている子はいるんですけれども。
次。
Even in the post-Me Too age, though, a modern viewer would likely identify the film up to a point as some sort of variant of the romantic comedy formula, and certainly not a horror film.
次は山崎あさみさんです。どうぞ。
こういうことを聞くと逆に失礼かもしれないけど、山崎さんの作文の中の最優先事項だったことが崩れてしまったことは、ある意味で死を受け入れることに似ているっていうところ、とても感動したんです。そういうことでいいかな？じゃあどうも今日はありがとう。
After her audition, Shigeharu makes a first symbolic attempt to empathize with her, taking her seat in an attempt to provide insight into her perspective, all the while ignoring his friend's blunt warnings that there's something not right about Asami.
だけど気になる。綺麗で上品で真面目で素直で、あれだけの女が手つかずでいて、しかもこっちの網にすんなり入るってなんかできすぎじゃねえか？
あ、いえ、もう少しあなたのお話を伺いたくて時間を作ってもらえたらと思いまして。
ええ、喜んで伺います。
When he finally calls her for a date, he does not make it clear that it's not a professional meeting. Shigeharu is still manipulating her and maintaining an advantage as against her position, as only he of the two understands the situation.
おやすみなさい。
When they date, she is demure and self-deprecating, and has a ready answer as to why her professional reference is a man who disappeared over a year prior.
ごめんなさい。あの時は会いましたけど、実は一度もお会いしたことないんです。一人でやっていると限界があるから、そういう形にしておいた方がいいってある人にアドバイスされて。
そうだったの？
嘘をついてたわけじゃないんです。
ああ、いや、いいんだよ。つまり何の問題もないということだ。
By the time she asks to see him again, Shigeharu has the sense of doing her a favor by continuing the romance.
多分無理だと思うんですけど、青山さんがお暇な時で結構ですから、今後もいろいろ相談させていただけたらどんなにいいだろうって。
Throughout the film so far, we as an audience have a far greater access to our hero's view of Asami than we have into her perspective. For the first time, Miike cuts to what she is doing absent the male lead. It turns out she's sitting, waiting by the phone for the call he's delaying while he cools off to regain objectivity. In our eyes, she goes from being the object of fairly harmless manipulation to a figure of pathos and a victim. Another day passes, and still she's waiting. I mean, we feel sorry for her and everything, but the notion that she really has nothing else to do but wait for his call is disconcerting. To say the least. At this point, our concern shifts radically in the other direction, and any thought of the film being a rom-com is erased. At their next date, when Shigeharu is about to come clean about having manipulated her, we find ourselves wishing he wouldn't. And in the end, he doesn't. At this point, our loyalties are mixed. Confusion is the rule of the day, and the audience is left with no reliable indicators to tell us what we should want to happen, let alone what will happen.
私だけを愛してくれなきゃ嫌よ。
分かってる。
みんなそう言うの。でもあなただけは他の人と違うでしょ。私だけいい？私だけを愛して。
Following a whirlwind romance, the two find themselves on a weekend getaway, and something strange happens. Shigeharu wakes as from a dream. Asami, his fantasy girl, is gone. This is a crucial junction, and it's at this point that the movie dives into horror.
いないってなんだよそれ。
電話をしても繋がんないし、こっちから連絡のしようがないんだ。
The tables are turned, with Asami no longer at his beck and call. Shigeharu lives in a state of confusion, which the audience is invited to share. This scene uses frequent cuts and the violation of the so-called 180 rule to induce a feeling of uncertainty and imbalance.
今話したじゃないか。
それだけで消えるわけないだろ普通。
何か誤解があったのかもしれない。ともかく会って話をしてみたいんだ。
Shigeharu utilizes what little information he has about Asami to investigate her past. At her old dancing school, he finds the only things occupying the boarded-up space all relate to Asami: ballet slippers, burning cinders of the sort that scarred her legs, and an old man at the piano, whom he presumes to be the missing Mr. Shimada.
あの匂いを嗅いだのか。
We see in flashback that Shimada tortured Asami as a child. The man's some kind of sexual sadist. We also learn that he has 2 prosthetic feet. The Stone Fish, the subterranean bar where Asami had claimed to work part-time, turns out to have been vacated a year hence. It seems the owner was murdered under mysterious circumstances.
誰もいないよ。
ああ、お休みですか。
1年ちょっと前に潰れました。ママさんが殺されてね、大変でした。
Returning to that crucial evening when Shigeharu woke to find Asami missing, let's review some of the events that followed. First, at the dance studio. Why so conveniently, years later, are all elements present things that relate to Asami? And not just to her, but to things about her that Shigeharu had some knowledge of. Was this actually an imagined event? Did he dream this visit, constructing events based on his limited information?
警察の人がバラバラになったのをこう集めて組み立ててみたら。
When outside the bar, when he learns of the extra body parts left by the killer, he seems to see, as we do, images of the grotesque pieces, the tongue flapping on the floor. Surely here we're being shown not what's happening, but what Shigeharu imagines. The question is, how much of this is real? How much is he dreaming? If it's a dream, whose point of view is this? And here, does the fixed camera point of view indicate reality? Or are all the events after Shigeharu goes to bed mere imaginings that take place in his slumber? Someone was there, someone drugged the drink, or none of this is real. One or the other, it seems, must be true. In the movie's second crucial junction, he falls. Shigeharu's unconscious recollections differ from the original presentation. Was what we were shown before a falsehood? A picture painted from Shigeharu's desires projected onto a girl he simply didn't listen to? Are the new memories Asami's point of view of the same events? Or are they revisions created by Shigeharu's paranoia and the absence of facts to direct his understanding of Asami?
小さい頃両親が離婚して私おじさんの家に預けられました。そこは本当にひどいところでした。いじめられたことしか記憶にありません。
Assuming the stories she relates are true, insofar as she perceives them, we nevertheless find inconsistencies that indicate even Asami may not know the truth.
君は素晴らしい。僕は君のような女性を探していたんだ。
By the time he introduces his dead wife to the woman he's dating in a flashback, we can be certain only that what we are seeing is not real. Continuing what is clearly a dream sequence, we learn that he is burdened by guilt at having once taken advantage of his lovelorn secretary.
バカですよね。
ごめん。許してくれ。
But when he goes on to discover the sack in Asami's apartment, we again reach a conundrum. He couldn't know about the sack, so either what we are observing is not a dream, or when we saw the sack earlier, it wasn't a real presentation of what Asami was doing, but rather a fantasy projection created by Shigeharu. So at this point, it isn't at all clear which of them is completely insane. And then Shigeharu falls again. This time he does not pass out. Can we therefore assume he is not dreaming?
あなたはもう動けない。体は死ぬけど神経だけは起こしておいてあげます。
And so begins one of the most disturbing sequences in horror cinema, in which Asami tortures her lover, seemingly before he's had even an opportunity to wrong her. Of course, he's been doing her wrong all along. He was never really interested in who she was. She represented wish fulfillment. She provided an object for his fantasies, and it may be understood to be this disloyalty for which she is punishing him. But this is a punishment that goes beyond him. She intends also to do harm to others in his life, jealous as she is of his love.
息子さんがひどい目に遭わされたら青山さんにもよくわかるかも。
やめろ。試合怖い。やめろ。
ほら、私だけじゃないじゃない。君だけを愛すなんて嘘ばかり言って。足がなければどこにも行けないでしょ。
And then there's the audience, punished for our voyeurism. The torture scene is hard for many viewers to bear. The cruelty of it, the helplessness of the victim, and all the while Asami's sing-song voice forever to be indelibly associated with agonizing pain. It's easy to understand why some viewers feel haunted by this sequence. It lingers, and for some remains a vaguely disturbing etching permanently affecting their psyche. Then Shigeharu wakes, once again at the first point where the story departed from evident reality. He's back on his weekend getaway with Asami, and this time she hasn't left. Intuition suggests that everything we've seen previously that followed this point was probably a nightmare of Shigeharu's imagining, fueled by guilt and the knowledge that he was not fully reciprocating her trust and affection. So it's a second chance, right?
私、さっきのお返事ですけど。
え？
あなたのプロポーズお受けします。
No sooner does he return to sleep. Is this a return to his dream? If so, we face the prospect that he will be forever haunted by it, and never able to properly address his relationship with the real Asami. Is this the real ending? Does it mean things will go this way inevitably? Will he decide to marry for the wrong reasons and seal his doom?
なんだか夢のよう。
As her corpse revisits some of the earlier indicators of her loneliness, Shigeharu is filled with guilt once again. Regardless of the horror, his guilt seems insurmountable.
暖かくて私の気持ちを包んで分かってくれる人に会ったのは初めてです。
So what is it about this story that makes it so horrifying? Is it the oppressive inevitability of its violent conclusion? Does it lie in the knowledge that our hero's own guilt seems to motivate his destruction, making it both inescapable and tragic? Is it the raw nature of Asami's grotesque torture techniques and the imagination of viewers that these things could occur to them? Those all play a part, but I want to return to my original statement. No matter how you approach Audition as a viewer, it will confound a purely literal interpretation. If the whole thing following the weekend getaway is a dream, then you're still left to explain the man in Asami's bag, which was revealed earlier. If you decide that the torture would not have occurred outside the dream, the ending suggests otherwise. I believe it is this that finally elevates Audition from being just a disturbing movie to being among the most genuinely horrifying. It's the fact that the viewer cannot reconcile its events logically. It's a story that is impervious to perfect comprehension, and therefore impervious to catharsis. The result is that it festers in the viewer's mind long after the credits roll, and the more one attempts to resolve it mentally to overcome those elements that are most disturbing, the harder it becomes to let go of. It's scary because it stands as an illustration that we are not in control, that the story isn't what we expect it to be, and there's no way to prepare against the horror it actually is.
As always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, leave any comments you may have, and check out the other videos on our channel.
なんだよお前。